following is a feature presentation of the Replay Sports Channel, the home for great games. This telecast is copyrighted by the WFL for the private use of our audience. Any other use of this telecast or any pictures, descriptions or accounts of the game without the WFL's consent is prohibited.
This episode of the Replay Sports Channel is brought to you by Royal Retros, your ultimate one-stop shop representing the teams of the past. Royal Retros has something for you. Every product tells a unique story, and you can be sure that you will stand out in the crowd with something different. Head over to Royal Retros today, and using the code REPLAY can get 10% off your order. The link will be provided in the show's description. Hello again, everybody. Glenn Walker coming to you from the Replay Sports Channel studios with the Week 7 review show from WFL Inside Access. The 2025 WFL season is just a week away from the halfway point. Hard to believe, isn't it? And also, the trade deadline is also next week. Which teams will look to acquire players to prepare for a potential playoff run this season, and which teams are already looking ahead to 2026? The Inside Access crew will take a look back at Week 7 of the 2025 WFL season, highlighting key game results and statistical leaders. It will detail how the Arizona Rattlers maintained their perfect record by defeating the Las Vegas Outlaws in a highly anticipated matchup. Several teams, including the Stars, the Americans, and the Fire, extended their winning streaks to 4 games. This episode also lists individual standout performances, such as San Diego's Josh Allen's 418-yard passing day and Marvin Harrison Jr.'s massive receiving total. Finally, we'll take a look at the updated divisional standings. Inside Access starts now.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are standing right on the precipice of a really pivotal moment in the 2025 WFL season.
Mm-hmm.
We're exactly 1 week from the halfway point, and honestly, looking at the data, the stakes just feel higher than they usually do at Week 7.
It really is that time of year. It's where the rubber meets the road. We aren't dealing with, small sample sizes or early season jitters anymore.
Right.
At this point, you are who your record says you are.
And looming over everything is the trade deadline next week. This is that moment where front offices have to take a hard look in the mirror and decide, are we buyers or are we sellers?
It's the ultimate reality check. I mean, you can lie to the fans, maybe even lie to yourself for the first few weeks, but by Week 7, the standings tell the truth.
So the mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward. We're going to separate the contenders from the pretenders. We've got the game summaries, the stats, and we're going to figure out who's thriving under pressure.
And who is just collapsing. And we have plenty of collapsing to talk about.
Okay, so let's start at the very top. The Clash of Titans. Unbeaten Arizona versus the 5-1 Las Vegas Outlaws. Everyone was calling this the game of the week.
On paper, yeah, it had all the makings of a classic shootout. 2 dominant teams, high-powered offenses.
But that's not what happened.
Not at all. What we saw wasn't a shootout, it was a clinic in control. Arizona wins at 23-13, moves to a perfect 6-0, and hands the Outlaws their first loss.
The score, 23-13, makes it look sort of respectable. But the play-by-play, it feels like Arizona just suffocated them. They built a 20-point lead by halftime.
It's not just that they scored, it was how they scored. It's what coaches call complementary football. They scored on 3 of their first 4 possessions.
That's just demoralizing.
It is. And look at Aaron Rodgers. He didn't have to play hero ball. He was just surgically efficient.
I'm looking at his line here, 23 of 31 for 177 yards. I mean, in fantasy football, you're benching him.
Exactly. But in real football, that's winning at the highest level. Nearly 75% completion. And when a drive stalled, Eddie Pinheiro was automatic. 3 field goals, including a massive 56-yarder.
That 56-yarder feels like a huge momentum swinger, doesn't it?
It stretches the field mentally. The defense can never relax. But the real story here, for me, is the clock. They held the ball for over 33 minutes.
So they just kept the Las Vegas offense on the bench?
Exactly. You're Jalen Hurts, you're standing on the sideline getting cold, you can't get into a rhythm.
Vegas did try to make it interesting late, though. Hurts to Jackson Smith and Jigba for a touchdown. Was that a real sign of life?
A flicker? Maybe, but it felt hollow. The stat that really jumps out isn't the touchdown, it's the fourth downs. Las Vegas failed on fourth down attempts. Four. That just reeks of desperation. It tells you they didn't trust their defense to get a stop. Arizona just outclassed them.
Okay, so from a tactical grind, let's flip the script completely to the California route. We go from a defensive battle to an absolute offensive explosion.
Yeah, this was less of a football game and more of a demolition.
Yeah.
San Diego crushes Los Angeles 33-7. And it wasn't even that close.
I was looking at Josh Allen's stat line, and I actually thought it was a typo. He was player of the week for passing, obviously. Threw for 418 yards.
It's staggering.
Yeah.
But what makes it so tough to defend is the distribution. Tyreek Hill had 173 yards, T. Higgins had 130, and DK Metcalf added 91.
That's the classic pick your poison scenario, right?
Yeah.
How do you even game plan for that?
You don't. That's the problem. You double-team Tyreek. Higgins is open underneath. You roll coverage to Higgins. Metcalf just beats you one-on-one. The defensive coordinator is just helpless.
And the game was over early, 27-0 at halftime. But we have to talk about the other side of this. Los Angeles is now 0-7. Russell Wilson made his debut.
Yeah. Spark is not the word I would use for that.
Not great.
Not great at all. He threw a touchdown, sure, but the offense had only 225 total yards. When you're facing an offense like San Diego's and you can't sustain a drive, you're just going to get crushed.
It really highlights that gap between the haves and the have-nots.
And it brings us right back to that trade deadline point.
Yeah.
San Diego's a buyer. Los Angeles, everything must go.
Okay, let's move from that blowout to a heartstopper. The thriller in New Jersey. Philadelphia taking on New Jersey. This one went down to the literal final seconds.
This was easily the most competitive game of the week. Philadelphia wins 25-22, but they needed a touchdown with just 12 seconds left to do it.
Wow. Walk us through that final drive, because this tells us something about Drake May, doesn't it?
It tells us everything. So New Jersey takes the lead with under 4 minutes left.
Yeah.
Herbert to Bijan Robinson. The crowd is going wild. They think they have it.
And this is the test, right? This is where you see if a young QB has that clutch gene.
Precisely. And May showed he has it. He leads a 75-yard drive, 13 plays. He wasn't panicking, wasn't forcing it, just dink and dunk, marching them down the field. And then he hits Cade Stover for the 7-yard score.
Incredible composure. And that win moves them to 5-1, top of the East.
Yeah, they've won 4 straight. New Jersey, though, at 4-2. They have to be kicking themselves. This is a game they let slip away.
A real gut punch for them.
For sure.
All right, let's head down south. Atlanta versus San Antonio. The Legends beat the Gunslingers 38-31 in a game that was, well, all about shooting yourself in the foot.
Gunslingers is an apt name because they came out firing, but they also just kept shooting themselves.
Let's start with the winners. Joe Burrow was on fire.
Oh, yeah. 292 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was clinical. And Breece Hall chipped in 2 rushing TDs. Atlanta's offense is just humming.
But San Antonio put up 31 points. They were moving the ball.
They were. Kenneth Williams Jr. was a beast, 120 rushing yards. But here's the stat that matters. San Antonio committed 3 turnovers.
Ouch. That's the game right there.
It is. You cannot give a team like Atlanta 3 extra possessions. It's what we call empty yards. You look great marching down the field, and then a fumble. It kills all your momentum.
So the talent is there for San Antonio, but the discipline isn't. They dropped to .500.
And that .500 mark is a dangerous place to be.
Okay, now here's where it gets really interesting for me. We've talked about the winless LA Wildcats, but there's another team in the basement. The Pittsburgh Maulers, 0-6. They played Detroit, and the numbers are genuinely confusing.
This game gave us what I think is the biggest aha moment of the week about stats versus reality.
Unpack that, because looking at the box score, you'd think Pittsburgh had a monster day.
Right. If you play fantasy, you loved Pittsburgh. Marvin Harrison Jr., receiving player of the week. 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes threw for 302 yards.
Those are winning numbers. So how do you lose that game 36-18?
You lose because you are completely, utterly one-dimensional. Pittsburgh had, and I want you to really hear this,
Right.
6 rushing yards total.
Wait, 6, not 60. 6.
6, S-I-X. You cannot win in this league with 6 rushing yards. I don't care if you have Patrick Mahomes.
Why does that matter so much, though, if you're getting yards through the air?
Because if the defense knows you can't run, they don't respect play action. The defensive line just pins their ears back and sprints at the quarterback every single snap. The offense becomes totally predictable.
That is a great point. And on the flip side, Detroit did the exact opposite.
Exactly. Detroit ran for 284 yards. Chase Brown was rushing player of the week. Brock Purdy didn't have to be a hero. He just managed the game.
So Detroit controls the ground, wins easily. Pittsburgh puts up flashy numbers, gets blown out.
It's a classic lesson. Balance wins football games.
Speaking of winning football games, sometimes it's not flashy. Sometimes it's just ugly, gritty, grinder football. Let's look at Chicago.
The Chicago Fire. They are quietly becoming a powerhouse. Beat Cleveland 31-9 for their 4th straight win.
And they did it with defense and the run game. But the defensive stats.
Relentless. They sacked Cleveland's quarterback, Sam Darnold, 6 times.
6 times.
When a QB gets sacked 6 times, he starts seeing ghosts. He rushes throws. Chicago is 6-1 now, and they look scary.
Then we had Baltimore beating New York 16-7. That felt like old school football.
Very much so. Saquon Barkley with 101 rushing yards, and the defense just strangling New York. The Generals have lost 5 straight. They are in absolute freefall.
And Monday Night Football, Tampa Bay squeaking by Memphis 24-21.
Another battle in the trenches. Joe Flacco managing the game. Gus Edwards punching in short PDs.
And Lamar Jackson on the other side threw 3 TDs but got sacked. Let me guess.
6 times. There's the theme. Can't protect the QB, you lose. Evan McPherson had to hit the game winner, but the game was won and lost on the line of scrimmage.
So we've broken down the games. Now, what does it all mean with the trade deadline staring us in the face? Let's look at the power structure.
If we zoom out, the West is absolutely terrifying. It's the group of death. You've got the Rattlers at 6-0, the Outlaws at 5-1, the Fleet at 5-1.
That arms race is going to be insane at the deadline. If San Diego buys a pass rusher, Las Vegas almost has to respond, right?
Yeah. It's a classic prisoner's dilemma. If you sit still, you fall behind. Then you look at the North, where Chicago is just dominating at 6-1. They don't have that same desperation.
And the South and East?
The Americans lead the South at 5-1. The Stars lead the East at 5-1. So we have this really clear elite tier.
And the basement dwellers?
The Wildcats is 0-7. The Maulers at 0-6. They should be having fire sales. If you're a veteran on those teams, you should be packing your bags.
What about that middle group? The mushy middle, teams like the Hitmen at 4-2 or the Legends at 5-3.
That is the most interesting spot to be. If you're the Hitmen, you're 4-2. That's a playoff record. But you're in a division with a 5-1 Philly team. Do you go all in to catch them?
It's a huge risk. You trade away draft picks to win now and miss the playoffs. You've set the franchise back years.
Exactly. But if you stand pat and lose in the first round because you lacked one key piece, the fans will never forgive you.
So to summarize, a clear separation. The elite Arizona, San Diego, Chicago are pulling away. The bottom feeders, Pittsburgh, LA can't find an identity.
And the teams in the middle are fighting for their lives.
Before we wrap up, I want to leave the listener with this. We saw San Diego put up 500-plus yards with a balanced attack. We saw Pittsburgh lose despite huge passing numbers because they had no run game.
It raises a really provocative question. Is the era of the balanced offense officially back? For years, all we heard was, it's a passing league, running backs don't matter. But look, week 7.
The teams that ran the ball, Detroit, Arizona, Baltimore, they won.
And the teams that couldn't, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Memphis, they lost. It's not just about a superstar QB anymore. It's about controlling the clock and the line of scrimmage.
Maybe the pendulum is swinging back. It's not about flash, it's about control.
Old school might just be the new school.
I love it. Well, that's all we have for this deep dive. Keep your eyes on that trade wire next week. It's going to be chaotic, and we'll be right here to break it all down. Thanks for listening. Well.
And there you have it. From the Inside Access crew, a complete recap of Week 7. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Replay Sports channel, where you can catch all WFL action. What is the WFL? The WFL utilizes real NFL players and the advanced simulation capabilities of DK Sports Action PC Football. The WFL strives to create a thrilling, strategic, and statistically rich football environment that balances realism with innovation. Be sure to join us for our next episode of Inside Access. It'll be our trade deadline special. We'll cover all of the key trades and which teams were winners and which teams will, we'll see what happens. This has been Glenn Walker from the Replay Sports Channel Studios saying so long. See you next time.